Hey everybody, Casey Cease from Lucid Books. I'm here with one of our authors today, Rhonda Wagner. Rhonda, thanks so much for taking the time to join me today.
Yes, you're welcome.
So why don't you just take a few minutes and share with our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, Casey, I am a Western Pennsylvania girl. I am a baby boomer. And with that comes a lot of identification in itself. Um, I was brought up in the culture of the day where women, it was a privilege to work outside the home.
Mm.
And so I did that for actually 38 years. I worked for the local electric company as an administrative assistant, but at the same time, being also a wife and a mom. And those were the two more important parts of my life to me. My husband Dan and I are celebrating 40 years of marriage here in November.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And we have two 30-something daughters that are both married. They live in northeastern Ohio, so not that far from us. And we have three, soon to be four grandchildren. So those are all good things. And of course, I want to sum up who I am by telling you of my Christian belief. And that is the most important part of who I am. I try to become more like Christ with every day that I have a breath.
Wonderful. So what compelled you to write these books, or this book that you have right now?
Okay. I have always been a lover of books. I mean, even as I remember my childhood growing up, I would read books. I joined those book clubs, where you just anxiously awaited for the mailman to show up with your next book, putting it out there because I had devoured the one that came in 2 weeks prior to that in a matter of 1 or 2 days. So I always loved to read books, but never had a desire to write a book until my daughter and son-in-law, my younger daughter Lisa and JJ, went into foster care. And that was about 4 years ago. And at that time, their daughter Avery was 3 going on 4. And I thought, my grandma heart started getting kind of anxious. And I thought, what's that going to do to that little girl? How's she going to be able to handle that? Children coming and going from the house, and isn't her little heart going to get hurt? And it's just going to be, something that I wasn't sure about for her. So I started looking for books, and I thought, I'll find something that I can read to her to help reassure her. We'll have our little cuddle time. She'll sit on my lap and we'll go through this book that's just going to make it all feel better for her. And I couldn't find that. I looked online and I found a few books for the foster child, and I found some very good books for the foster child. And those are absolutely very important resources that we need to have out there. But I thought, well, what about the child in the home that called these parents mom and dad first?
Yeah.
Isn't that child, we need to provide a resource for that child as well. So then I just started thinking, well, here I am, I'm retired. I had been retired from work for 4 years, and I had been praying about doing something more than just being retired. It was great to be out of the workforce. I was enjoying my little Avery and time with her, but I knew I wanted to do more. And I just started feeling those nudges from God, saying, hey, you can do this. You can write this book. But then I would just kind of laugh and say, I'd listen to those naysayers in my
Sure.
head that said, absolutely not. There's no way you could do this. Why would you even try? But God just kept nudging me, those Holy Spirit nudges that it just wouldn't go away. And I thought, well, he just pressed upon me that if I would do this, if I would just say yes to him, that he would go along for the ride, that he would never, ever leave me alone in this venture, that, that I could trust him in it. And so I thought, you know what, Rhonda, if you can humble your heart and keep your heart humble and know that, you can't do this. You'll never be able to do this, but God is going to do it with you. And in his strength, we will do it together. And that's how we are here today. This is launch day.
Yeah, I
by the way.
know. Yeah, it's so
It's
exciting. I
that.
know it is. It's fortunate that we get to chat with you on the day of launch of your book, and I love the fact that out of a need that was personally felt with your family,
Mhm.
and just the prompting of the Lord that you committed to this project. And so, why don't you tell us a little bit more specifically about the book itself? It's called "It's Okay to Wonder." Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, the book is about a little girl, Avery.
Hmm.
You wonder where I got that name, I'm
No
sure.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's about a little girl whose parents have decided to go into foster care, and she wonders what that's all about. She has all kinds of wonderings, and she watches her parents prepare the home. She watches her parents go to foster training classes. She hears their conversations, and she just wonders what's going to happen to her nice little comfortable home. And so she wrestles with some emotions. She's happy and excited about becoming a foster family, which she has no idea what that means, literally. But she's also, so she's kind of happy, but she's sad at the same time because what she's heard, from her parents, children in need will come and children in need will probably go.
Hmm.
And, how's that going to feel? And also, so she's excited and worried at the same time, too. So the book is takes place when her parents do go off to a training session for the day, and they leave Avery at Nana and Pop's house. And so during that time, she opens up to her grandparents and talks about these feelings, these mixed up feelings that she's having. And so she and her grandparents are able to talk about how her grandparents also have those mixed up feelings, and together, they'll manage these, but ultimately they don't have to worry about anything because they can trust God in this process, to take care of all of their needs. So it's that's where we get the idea for it's okay to wonder,
Yeah.
but we don't have to worry.
I love that. I love that. So, what are you hoping that the reader will experience as they go through your book, both for the parent or grandparent or adult reading or older sibling reading to the child, but also for the child who's having it read to them?
Yeah. Um, First of all, for the young reader, I hope that they open the book and it's fun. Like, I wanted to keep that thought throughout the book because, believe me, if you would meet my granddaughter, she's fun, she's outrageous, she's chatty. In the book, we talk about her being loquacious, and we learned what that word meant together, really, the two of us one day, because I didn't know what it meant. We opened up one of those little Dove chocolate candies, and you know how the messages are in there, and hers said, be more loquacious. So we looked up the meaning of the word, and when I saw what it meant, I'm like, oh, Avery, please, you don't need to be any more loquacious. She is that kind of a fun girl. And so I wanted her personality to come out in the book, and I think it does. Um, but also, obviously, I want the reader to see that she's wrestling with a lot of the newness
Mm.
of everything. And I want the child to relate to that and realize that, this anxiousness or this happy and sad at the same time, this mixed up kind of a feeling is normal.
Mm.
That we still deal with that today.
Right.
I'm anxious talking with you right now. Just kidding. But you know what I mean. We get nervous, and but we're really excited. And so it's just kind of emotions that you need to learn to process. And I want the child to realize that it's best to get those out.
Mm.
Like, talk to your grandparents or talk to your parents about that. So that's the main thought, I guess, for the child. For the parent, I certainly hope that they are reassured by a lot of the conversations within the book between the Avery and her grandparents, and recognizing that, yes, these things do need to be talked about. Maybe your child isn't even bringing them up. But there are resources in the back of the book. There's 3 pages of what are called conversation starters. So parents can read those with their child and refer back to the page that they might find a picture or conversation related to that particular conversation starter. So it should help the parents with that too, to initiate this talk. And one other person that I'm really anxious for to read are the non-foster families.
Mm.
I hope it brings just awareness to people, in general, as to what foster care is like, and that they might too become a foster care supporter. They don't need to do foster care, but they can come alongside foster care families. They can provide a meal once in a while, or they can go get background checked so that maybe they could offer babysitting.
Mm.
I know my daughter at times, she'll call and say, Mom, I can't find anybody because, it can't just be a college girl that's a good babysitter.
Sure. Yeah.
It has somebody that has, their state certification, background checks, all that.
That's very important. I know in the church, I have several friends and authors that are advocates for foster care and adoption. And one of the things they say is that foster care is a church issue. Doesn't necessarily mean that every family in the church needs to foster care, but there's ways for the church to be involved in foster care. And so I think that's a wonderful point for your book as well, to cast that vision, not only for the family and for the children involved directly, but also for those to ask the question, how can we get involved as well? So let me ask you this. Are you planning on writing any other books, or is it one and done? Okay, tell us about that a little bit.
No. This is the Joy of Avery series.
Oh, great.
Yes. Book 1, It's Okay to Wonder. So book 2 will be when the first child comes to their home.
Okay.
Book 1, there is no child coming to the home yet.
It's more introducing the idea, right? It's bringing the concept.
The idea, and there's a page towards the end that even speaks upon book 2, and that you'll have to get book 2 to find out who the first child is, and will it be a boy or a girl? All of these things that right now are just a mystery. And so, yes.
We'll have to wait for book 2 to be able to know if it's a boy or a girl. So interesting.
We do.
It's a cliffhanger. I love it. So how many books are you planning to have in this series?
I'm going to say definitely 3 more. Okay. So that would be a total of 4.
Yeah.
But I do have a thought of a 5th book too. So I'm not sure.
Awesome. So what's the biggest lesson you've learned about marketing and promoting your book so far?
Well, that one I just laugh about, because what I've learned about that is there are people that God made that love marketing.
Yeah.
I know.
I love marketing.
I know that's you.
Yeah.
And there are people that God made that don't like marketing at all, and that would be me.
That's most people, just so you know. That's
Yeah. So anyway, I know you and I had a talk a couple weeks ago, and you drew me that cool little marketing funnel.
Yeah.
And in the middle of, and you asked me what would be my goal at the end of that funnel.
Yeah.
And me, not knowing any better, said, has to be to sell my book. And you said, absolutely not.
Right.
In the middle of that funnel is where we need to sell the book. And then when we get to the end of the funnel, that's where you'll have people evangelizing your book. And that was a wonderful perspective. I really appreciated you bringing that to my attention, because that is the goal. It truly is.
And we want to build relationships with our readers.
Yes.
It's one thing to have a transaction and we make a little bit of money, but ultimately most of our authors, and myself as an author as well, the reason I write is to help my reader. And so with that, I want the book to be one of the beginning stages of building that trust, so that they can then feel comfortable sharing that with other people. And so when we see a mutually beneficial marketing strategy, even my non-marketing friends feel more comfortable because they find a way to communicate about what they're offering to help other people. And your book is so helpful. It's so needed. And I'm so excited for at least three other in this series and the adventure you're taking us on. So if an organization or a church was going to bring you out to speak, what would you like to talk with them about? How could you help? How can the nanas of the world, or the moms and dads, or the children of the world, how would you love to serve the greater good of people?
Yeah. This book and where God has taken us on this journey into foster care. And I say us because he took my daughter and son-in-law there first. But, the rest of the family, we just joined in too.
Yeah.
We and it was certainly not a part of anybody's original plan for their life.
Sure.
So I'm sure because this all happened as a result of we know God was orchestrating his plan when we look back in hindsight. But 7 years ago, when Avery was born, she was our first grandchild on both sides. And she was Lisa and JJ's first child. And so everybody's in that state of euphoria where you're just so excited. And 1 week later, my daughter is back in the hospital with a very rare bacterial infection that is life-threatening. And she has an emergency hysterectomy to save her life. And she's 26 years old.
Wow.
It was just so... Are you kidding me? It was just one of those, wow, really? She was in the hospital for 11 days and all hooked up, and, only one person could go in at a time. And it was just so, like I said, it was so shocking. But looking back at it, as hard as that was, we see God starting to put his plan in place. So here they are 4 years later, and they are doing foster care because they started out originally because they could not have any more children of their own, but they wanted to have a home full of children.
Yeah.
So it brought them to foster care. And so we know that back to your question was what I would speak on at church. I would speak on giving up our plans for our life for God's plan for our life. And whether that's seemingly, it's probably not going to be easier.
Right.
He's probably going to ask you to get out of your comfort zone, step out of your little Christian bubble life that you're living, because I've lived that life where we just kind of sheltered our girls and did everything just so. And then all of a sudden, he just shook up our world and said, hey, I made you for a lot more than what you're doing. And it was just his way of leading us there. And like I said, I don't really think he's made us for easy. He wants you to get in the trenches and do something meaningful with your life.
Yeah, because that's where he meets us, right? If everything,
it is.
I think it's tempting for us to think we can do it by ourselves when we're doing easy stuff. And so I think part of the invitation is to see him at work and do the heavy lifting. So, Rhonda, it's been great to visit with you. I am so excited about the release of It's Okay to Wonder by Rhonda Wagner. Rhonda, where can we find you? Where can people find you online?
I have a website, which is rhondawagnerbook.com.
Okay.
I can also be found on Facebook and Instagram under that same tool.
Rhonda Wagner book, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I guess that would be where to find me.
Well, I can't wait to interview you next time your next book comes out. But until that time, friends, go check out Rhonda Wagner at rhondawagnerbook.com. Look at her latest release, It's Okay to Wonder. If you or anyone you know is involved in foster care, this is a must-purchase, must-read book. Rhonda, thanks so much for taking the time to visit with us today.
Thank you, Casey. It's been my pleasure.